And hello, we are officially live. How is everybody doing? Today we are continuing with our Warhammer Quest Darkwater Heroes. Just have to get their names up again because I keep forgetting their names. Hey Signed, how are you? Hello from the kitchen. Making yourself some dinner. So yesterday we painted. Let's grab her. The lovely Inara Scion, who, ahoy Rothma Gaming, who we said looks a lot like Esmeralda. So her name's Inara, according to Warhammer, but according to us it's Esmeralda. Then we have this gentleman here, who is called Drolf Ironhead, but I believe yesterday we named him Steve Seven-Axe, like Steve Seven-Axes? But he only has two because he can't count good. But he only really has two because he can't count good. I think that was the assumption for him. We're going to be finishing off his highlights today. So we'll be starting with our Dwarky Boy. And then we'll be moving on to one, if not two of these. We have this lovely lady. This is Bren Tylus. She's the Renegade Saint. And then we have this angry looking gentleman who I've nicknamed Krampus, but it's actually called Drashavorn, the Rampaging Beast. But yes, we'll be starting off with our Dwarfy Boy though, because he needs his highlights, he needs to be finished off. So yesterday I ended up mixing some grey with some of the Fang to get this bluish purpley hue to his clothing. For his highlight, I'm actually going to go in with Ross Grey. Let's focus. Hello, Ross Grey. And then we'll go through from there. Have you had a good day, Signed? I would ask Rothma Gaming if he's had a good day, but he's literally in the house with me. Have you had a good day? I'm going to take that as a yes. What a day. To be honest, Mr. Rothma, aka Mr. Nerd, is gearing up to go back to work. So he's had quite a busy day of getting a lot of his footage done. Yes, I've been productive in my painting. I have seen your itty bitties. And they look very, very cool. I'm just going through and finding any creases in his outfit, and that's what I'm starting or beginning with the highlights on. Actually, what I want to do first is shading. I'm not going to use too many shades on this. I'm just going to use 2. Beginning with Drakenhof Nightshade. It'll be Drakenhof and it will be Nuln Oil for the shading, and then over the ropes I'll go in with a brown shade. Haven't decided which one yet. Where is my Nuln Oil hiding? There it is. So, some Nuln Oil. It's got lots of browns and dark colours on him, so it makes sense just to go in with some Nuln Oil and Drakenhof. And I'll just use the browns to make the twine kind of threading. He's got like a little bit more ropey. What, 7 days today signed until you come away on holiday? Yes, I have looked at them. I think I've already read that one. Never mind. C7, not long. I think I'm going to go in with Reichland Flesh Shade for the twine and also for his beard. Let's blend that into his face as well. Focus. There we go. Let's go switch to a smaller brush to do the twine. I'm also putting it over wherever he's got any of these like folds in his clothing as well. Now to let him dry. I might even go over afterwards with some Guilliman flesh on those. But we need to wait for those to dry first. So for now, I'm going to move on to some of the highlights on the blue. Trying to find what obviously the natural raises in the fabric are to kind of just draw attention to the highest points. He really looks like a mountaineer. He does. He's every part the grizzled explorer. Nix has come to say hello. Hello, Nix. He has some stitching just around this section of his tunic. So I'm just dotting the light blue around there as well, just to kind of fill that in a bit more. She's decided to grace you with her presence at the beginning of the stream today, then. She just wants what's in my bowl before me. That's fair enough. That also sounds like typical cat behaviour. She's like, you're eating something. I guess I will have that first. So we never used to have problems with the cat eating our food. And then Mr. Neb was like, I wonder if the cat likes this. And now he's gone the other way around and he's become a fiend for it. Gonna get some Eshin Grey next to move on to the highlights on his... Her fuzzy paws in my food. Yum. Yes, sounds about right. What are we eating tonight? What is on the menu for Din Din? Salad with chicken. Yeah, I'm guessing she's after the chicken. I say that because ours are weird and would be there for the vegetables. Garlic bread. Hi Lewis, how are you? Oh, I want garlic bread. We had some garlic bread last night, actually. Homemade garlic bread, to be exact. Oh, she'll eat a leaf of a lettuce. Yeah, ours are obsessed with... They love broccoli and they love asparagus. And pretty much most things green they are a bit obsessed with. So that's quite fun. You think you've got everything sorted, you think, yeah, it's fine, I can keep this safe from my animals. And the answer is no, you cannot. Because they will eat anything. And I mean anything. I think we're going to have to go lighter because this is not showing up very well. Homemade garlic bread is amazing. Thank you. I'm doing good, thanks. Just started my ultramarine from my unit's painting competition. Ooh, very nice. We marched from a crag. Good luck with the painting. Nice. Good luck with the competition, Lewis. Indeed. Good luck. going to go in with some Celestia Grey, I think. Yeah, let us know how it goes, 100%. I'm going to with some Celestia Grey, I think, for a highlight instead, because Eshin Grey is just too dark. It needs to be a little bit brighter. In fact, I might mix a tiny bit of Eshin Grey in with it, just to make it the correct balance. That's much better. I've been convinced, peer pressured. Well, here you'll only find peer pressure in the good kind. I'm just picking out, obviously, all the highest points. A little bit of grey on his feetsies. And now I've got to go through and pick various browns to highlight what I already created yesterday. To begin with, I'm going to go in with Gotha Brown. So Wednesday is good for this channel coming. It's currently pending. It's on my list of things to do, but there will be one. We've just been prioritising getting some little last minute things sorted for our impending child's arrival. But I'm hoping to set that up before Christmas. Are you waiting for Rother to set it up? If I'm just planning to set it before Christmas, technically you wouldn't be here. But yeah, worst case scenario, if I really struggle with it, it might be the new year when Rother is home to help me do it. Is Rothmer going to be there for the birth of the wee lad? As long as he can get to us in time, absolutely, that is the plan. At the moment, his due date is when WARHAMMER is home. But of course, the wee lad can kind of pick and choose his own dates now. He's officially full-term. He can decide whether or not he wants to be really punctual or whether or not he wants to be super eager and come early, or whether or not he just wants to be a lazy bones and stay in there for a few extra weeks. But luckily, well, unluckily for me, labour traditionally is not a quick process. I say traditionally because you get people who can go into labour and give birth within a matter of a few hours. But on average, I think the average span for labour is like 18 hours or something like that. So it gives WARHAMMER plenty of time to get home. Hey, you could sneeze and there he is, exactly. That would be a surprise, to be honest. Sneezing and launching the wee nerdling across the room. I hope not. I have to make sure I cross my legs extra tight now every time I sneeze, just to make sure. His gloves are technically a dark brown, but they almost look black, so I might go in with a brownish grey mix for that one. For that, I just mixed a little bit of Gauthor brown with the brown I made before. The grey I made before, which was Eshin Grey and Celestra. But hey, yeah, worst case scenario, he could be me telling him, oh, I'm in labour, you need to come home. He arrives ready to drive to the hospital when the wee lad is already in my arms. And I'm like, yeah, that was quick and easy. I hope so too. Which bit do I want to highlight next? I need to think of a reddish highlighter. For that, I'm going to go with an orange, I think. Which I might go either in with either Skag Brown or Tuscaur Fur. I think I'm going to go with Tuscaur because they're more of a reddish tone. He has lots of like little satchels that I've done with like the reddish brown. So I'm just filling in the edges of those. Stop with the highlights for just a second and go back onto those ropes and use a little bit of Guilliman flesh to fill those in. So many twirly ropey bits. There we go. It's already starting to look a little bit more detailed, a little bit more put together. I think I'm going to go in with Skag Brown for the highlights on his battle axes. And then it's just a case of highlighting his metallics and his beard. Metallics time. So going in with Stormhost Silver on our, obviously on our silver parts. looking at the edges of the battle axes. I do love detailing axes. Not only am I highlighting, but it also makes it look like those edges are a bit sharper. And a little bit on the tail end of each axe. Little highlight on his shoulder piece. And now just his crossbow. Steve is coming together nicely. Thank you very much. Steve's 7 axes. There we go. We use bronze for the axes. I can go in with a gold shade or a slightly different bronze shade to do the highlights on that. I think I'm going to try some Gehenna's gold. So the Gehenna's or Gehenna's, I'm not sure. Yeah, that basically is absolutely nothing. It's basically the exact same colour. So we won't be doing that one. So tried and true, Auric Armor Gold. It is. In fact, if I can find where it is in my pile of paints, I might try the Sycorax Bronze, because that was quite good before. Again, colour, tone-wise, actually very, very similar. So I'll just stick with Auric Armor, I think. And there we are. Just a few highlights now through his ropes. And then he is highlighted, shaded and highlighted, and we can move on to our next figure. Who do you think we should do next? Should we do Drasher, aka Mr. Krampus? Or Bren? You guys have a moment to decide whilst I find the paint for the rope highlights. Which I think I'm going to use Kislev Flesh for, actually. The doggo. The big Krampusy looking boy. Whisper next. Do you want me to do Tiny Whisper? Whisper is this little guy. He is sprayed. I can paint Whisper if you want me to paint Whisper. Do you want me to paint the pupper? Who for some reason has a scythe in his hand? Yeah, that one. Okay. I'll do Whisper next then. Yeah, I went ahead and sprayed all of them. So really it's dealer's choice with what you guys want to see. So again, this is Kislev Flesh. I'm looking at my oranges as well, whilst the reason why I'm delaying doing the beard is because I'm looking at my oranges and trying to decide if I want to go, how bright I want to go. Okay. It's his rope highlights, and now it's just for his beard highlights. Because yesterday I painted that using Scrag Brown. What I might do is some lowlights and some highlights and use a tiny bit of Tuscal Fur. And then just lighten the Scrag Brown, because the oranges I have otherwise are extremely vibrant. Might use a tiny bit of this, a tiny bit of Fire Dragon Bright. But the others are a bit obtuse. So Troll Slayer Orange is a little bit much. And Luganath Orange is almost like an orange sickle-y colour. So I think it's going to be those two and just lighten Scrag Brown a little bit. Have you got any further with finding your parents a gift signed? What colours do we think I should do Whisper? You know, I think I'll look for one where I'm in the UK and then give it to them when I see them next. I think that's a good idea. What colours do we think I should do Whisper? Fire Doggo? Fire Doggo would be pretty cool. Oh, Fire Doggo indeed. Okay, I'll do Fire Doggo. I've got lots of oranges, I might as well use those. If I'm not going to use them for this boy, I might as well use them for that. You can just see it's just a few little lighter pieces just through his beard and mustache. Oh, the cat trying to decide. Steve looks like he has custard around his chops. He does. Okay, that's actually his favourite. That's his favourite treat. We don't judge. He likes custard. Okay. I had our 13-year-old cat, the girl that was sat on the table when I was petting Lion the other day, just looking at me like, do I join you? Oh, I think she might be. Hello. She's just looking at me from across the table like, am I going to be an inconvenience? An adorable one. So just going in with a few tiny little flicks of Tuscal Fur. Do you need me to move my laptop, Kiggy? She's just jumped up on the table where she was lying last time, and there is currently no room for her. And she looked quite upset. Oh, she got down. Never mind, I've offended her too much. Serves me right. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna say that's Steve done. Like I said, I'll be doing their bases off camera just because I still have not decided how I want their bases to look. And we'll move on to Whisper. Maybe he just loves custard. I say so. I think after he's done exploring and doing his thing, he rewards himself with a treat of custard. I think that's fair. Since he is a fire doggo, I'm going to use Trollslayer Orange and Luggerneck Orange, as well as Fire Dragon Bright. I bet it's Tubby Tustard. That brings back memories. Or as I said it as a kid, because I couldn't say the C part, it was Tubby Tustard. Maybe use a red on layer like corn red. Yeah, that's what I was just looking at. I was either going to use corn or methystone just because it's slightly brighter. And then just use maybe corn for like a darker red highlight almost. Or a reflex, kind of like little flicks of it. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So, Methystone red, potentially as his base layer, and then just layering on a bunch of oranges over the top, and then right on the very, very tips, we'll just add some corn red to add a little bit of depth and dimension. And then for shading, we have obviously got Carabag Crimson, but then I also have Cassandora Yellow, which is like an orangey yellow, so I want to be between those two for shading. Also means I need to use some yellow though, as well. Because if he's a fire boy, he needs yellow too. I think I'll use some Flash Gits Yellow as like the yellow highlight. Push this out of the way for now. And there we go, Fireboy done. Sorted. Perfect.
What's that colour called?
This is Methystone red.
Say Flash Gets.
Flash Gets yellow. Where is it?
That's the Space King.
Mm-hmm.
The YouTube channel's called Flash Gets.
Well, you just figured it out.
It's blown my mind.
That is Mr. Nerd officially, mind blown tonight. Here's you thinking, she said that wrong. Or has she been watching Space King without me? It's like, no, I have not. This is kind of the only boy who isn't sticking to the quote-unquote colour scheme, because I think he's supposed to be like a jade colour, like a combination of different greens. And although he would look very, very cool in green, why not be a bit different with the doggo? Yeah, I think I'm going to go quite vibrant with his base. Then I'll add some depth with the shading and use Carabao Crimson. And then re-add the brightness with the oranges and the yellows. So I imagine, since you're going to be here for Christmas, Signed, you'll be having a Christmas dinner. Do you have a particular part for Christmas dinner that you like the most? And will you be doing the traditional thing and having a turkey? Even that's not really traditional. I think it used to be goose. That was traditional. My favourite part of the Christmas dinner is the hot sauce I smother over the top. Yeah, so we had a Christmas dinner the other night because Mr. Nerd is not going to be here on Christmas Day. Unless little man decides to come early. If he does, then he will be. Fantastic. But we decided to go ahead and have a early Christmas dinner. My bestie's making meat pies. They're going to be roasted potatoes. She's going to do it the way her family has always done it. That's really nice, though. But because he's not here for Christmas, we decided to do one the other day with a couple of our friends. And I was asking everyone, like, okay, what gravy do you want to put on it? How much do you want to put on it? And then I turn around to Mr. Nerd, I'm like, here you go. And he goes, no, I'm not really interested. You can save it between the three of you. And they go, I can make more, it's not a problem. He goes, no, I'm about to smother it in hot sauce. And he got some looks, to say the least. I just thought I'd have a little look actually at what the first Christmas meal is, the first Christmas dinners. Apparently, it was originally in medieval Christmas dinners, wild boar's head. Because why not, I suppose. And then it was goose. But turkey didn't actually come around to the 16th century. Well, there we go. Fun little Christmas fact. As he has a scythe in his hand, I'm going to quickly paint that with something. I don't know what colour to go for. Yeah, I need to find an alternative for my... I mean, boars weren't more readily available, I think. Yeah. During a time when, obviously, wild boars or anything, I mean, it's now a thing in the UK again now. They've reintroduced it. It's like a big rewilding project that was going on. Yeah, they've reintroduced lots and lots of things to the UK at the moment. Most of them are in Scotland. But there is quite a lot of species that has been reintroduced. It's going in with Leadbelcher for that little scythe in his hand. Yeah, I've got like boar, wolves, ginormous like elk-looking things. Are they introducing wolves? Yes, they are. I don't know if they've actually done it already. There's a specific type of wolf they're reintroducing or have reintroduced. They're on the list, so it would be the Eurasian wolf that they would be looking into. I think that most of the species that they're looking at introducing into Scotland. But right now they're obviously facing a little bit of backlash regarding farmland and obviously being major predators. So they already have enough of that with stuff like foxes and other species, so they may not come back. It's like a little thing called Rewilding Britain, and it's got a very, very long list. Like some of them are quite simplistic. So you've got stuff like trout and tuna, but then you have stuff like elk and Eurasian beavers and lynx. Yeah, I mean, that's the European otter. That one I would more than happy. So wolves have been reappearing again in my country after decades of not being seen. That's impressive. Golden eagle, kelp. But yeah, they've got lots of stuff they're looking at reintroducing into the UK at the moment. I look through this every now and then and kind of look at the progress of some of them. But yeah, wild boars being reintroduced. Already has been. I think they have, and so have some elk and some deer. I think they're the main ones, and bison. I think those are the ones that were introduced first. Either the state of the world where they were living before is obviously drastically changing to the point that it's no longer habitable to those wolves, or as a country, social climbing is getting better for them to actually rehabilitate areas they used to live in. What type of wolves is it again? Is it the same as what we would have, the Eurasian, or is there a specific type that you're seeing or have been seen? Yes, I'm going to go in with Carabao Crimson as my shade paint for this. Just the European wolf. Still very impressive. Yeah, I think almost everything that's being reintroduced is being obviously introduced to the parts of the country where we still have vast amounts of land for them to habitate without really being a nuisance to people, or only being a minor inconvenience in comparison. According to the web, my country has 25 wolves and people already think it's too much. Really? That's a little bit ridiculous. It's essentially, I don't know how many can be in a pack, or whether or not that is just one pack. I haven't really ever looked into it, but I think it sounds to me like they've just gone through a period of their life where they've been so used to not having it there, when I don't know how many years it's been. Did you say it's been after decades? Yeah. So after decades of not having anything, people have got used to life without them there. And there's that slight fear potentially of they might run into one of these 25 wolves, and it's like, or they might destroy too much land, or they might kill too many animals. But you'd probably be surprised, there's other animals within your country probably already that are doing worse, and they've lived there this entire time. Yeah, so going back to it's mostly livestock owners that are complaining. Of course they are, but that's the main reason why we've got livestock owners complaining here about the wolves. This is actually what the Jade Wizard and Whisper is supposed to look like. But the real question is, do we now paint him all fiery? Because even though he's the Jade Wizard, do we paint him fiery to match Whisper, or do we just leave Whisper to be the only fiery boy? So Jacobus finds powerful mage of the Collegate Arcane and a master of natural magic and Gaianite lore. The Jewel Scholar has made his way to the Abbey to stop pus from bringing about a season of entropy, that's a hard word for me to say, attuned to the realm of life in a way that few humans are. Humans are. He is accompanied by a spirit owl and a vulpine forest spirit called Whisper, who functions as a guardian and a familiar. Then the Jade Wizard should become the Fire Wizard. Either that, or he's just got a really bad familiar and he's like, where did you come from? whilst he dries, I'm just going to move on to my big boy, just because he's going to take a little while for that shade paint to dry. So, hope he fits on this. He might just fit on this base. Let's bring the camera up ever so slightly for the big man. Just because he has oranges in him as well, so I can stick with the orange theme. So this is Drashavorn, the Rampaging Beast. And I quite like the fact that he's pretty orange, so I'm going to leave him as an orange boy. But his base is quite neutral, so I think I'm going to go in with a base of Rakarth Flesh. What's underneath the big man? It looks like it's reaching up towards a certain body part. It does. It's a there's a little sprig of grass. I promise it's not anything sinister. On the flesh section of his chest, I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to go in with Cassandora Yellow as the shade over the top to make it a yellowy hue, and then I'll start adding the oranges to Drasha. It looked like a hand. It does. There's a few of them that look like a hand. I've had to check a few times. This is Mr. Krampus, though. He looks like a Krampus. I think I'm better off starting dark and going lighter with the oranges. Because he's technically orange on the top and then brown on the bottom because he's got like a sheepskin type, or not a sheepskin, but like a fur wrap around his waist. Ooh. Yeah, I think I'll stick to that. I'll go in with, what am I going for? I'll go in with dried bark as the base for the lower furs. I think by the time this is dry, the shade paint on Whisper will be dry. And then we can start adding his highlights. And then what we'll probably do is Whisper and Mr. Krampus here today. And we'll do Warrior Lady and probably the Jade Wizard tomorrow. all of the metallics around his waist are actually have like a green hue to them. So I'm going to be painting these using probably lead belcher. And then I'll be adding a green shade over the top just to kind of make them look a little bit more dingy. The question is, I don't know which one. Quite a few green shade paints. Need a bit more paint. I don't have to be too careful around the boots because they're black, so I can be a little bit messy with the application of this brown along the bottom section if I really want to. Haven't needed to, but if I wanted to, I could. Now I've made a little bit of a mess in his legs, but that's fine. So I'm trying to make sure I get underneath his little pelt here, just to make sure that's covered. So a quick look at Whisper. Not quite, almost. Time to do his orange then. Which for that I think I'm actually going to do a base of Tuscal fur. Ooh. Base of Tuscal fur, and then I'll highlight with vibrant oranges. He has a face that kind of just screams, nonsense, but in reality I'm sure he'd give quite intellectual conversation. Very big boy. His face is kind of like a lighter orange. So I'm going over the lighter orange on that when I do the rest of the oranges. Okay, Mr. Whisper is dry enough now. So we'll go back to painting him. Which orange do I start with? I think I'll start with Troll Slayer orange. There we go. Back of this, I could just it's highlighting, but not really, because it's just a case of being really over exaggerated with the brightness. You would have dry brushed the doggo. Because he's already got some shade on him, and because I'm planning on using a bunch of different colours, I'm just going in with the colours as they are, using it as like a highlight technique. But dry brushing would have also worked very, very well on him. I dry brushed those itty bitties. They do look good dry brushed. Just gonna go back in with the fire dragon just to make sure those are clean looking and not streaky. There we go. And now some Flash Gets Yellow, aka the paint that blew Rothma's mind. I think Fire Doggo was a good idea. He's fun. There we go. Yeah, I'm just going to go over those lighter orange sections and make sure that colour is as pigmented as I can get it. Pretty, thank you. Right, now I'm going to go in with some corn red, just to add a tiny bit of depth back into it. I'm going with some Fire Dragon Bright now. Getting his little ears here. Little fiery boy. I'm gonna leave this stick because I'm gonna add that into the environment underneath. Yeah, got a cute little fur doggo. Gonna go in with a second coat of Rakarth flesh on his flesh-toned areas of his chest, and then I'm gonna go in with those oranges and start adding the highlights to the rest of his body. Maybe we should change his name from Whisper to something fire-like. Maybe we should call him Cinders. Oh, hello. One of my cats has decided to join me, and it just happens to be my 13-year-old girl, and she's jumped up on my little bench where I'm sat. Cinders is nice. I used to have a cat called Cinders many, many, many years ago. Did not like children. loved adults. Loved most humans just didn't like children, which I understood, to be honest. And we were living in Scotland at the time, and this cat disappeared, and we were like, oh, where did that cat go? And then found out it essentially moved itself in with an old lady. And since it didn't really like children, my parents decided to let her keep Cinders. Cinders did not like any of us. Any of us young ones, anyway. I think for the face, I'm going to use... Where did I pop it? I'm going to use a little bit of Loganath orange, but I'm going to mix it with a little bit of that Rakar flesh. Get a nice small brush. He's got some cute little antlers on his head, so he is very much like a Krampus. I think I'm just going to paint his face and his hands with this colour. His face and his hands match. At the moment he's been fake tanning, and at the moment he's only tanned his face and his hands. And for the fur around, or the hair around his face, because the hair on his face is a different colour to the rest of his body. Yeah, for that I'm going to go in with Fire Dragon Bright. I'll then cover the whole thing in Cassandora Yellow as the shade, and then I'm going to do some dry brushing. It's got a little half up, half down pony thing going on. Okay. Just grabbing my Cassandora yellow. Which is this beautiful, it says yellow, but it's definitely more of an orangey shade. This kind of yellowy hue is actually exactly what I want it to do. This is exactly the colour I wanted. I'm just going in with the shade on the Rakarth for now. I'm then going to do all my metallics whilst this dries. I just want to give certain sections the opportunity to dry before I dry brush them. It is a deep yellow, but essentially the colour of his skin, if you can even call it that, is like a very light orangey yellow. So once I've added all the orange like highlights to this, it will actually blend quite well. But I didn't want to just put it on over the top of orange, so made his skin that kind of yellowy orangey tone that I wanted, and then I can go from there. So his hide is, what is going on with this? His hide, yeah, his skin, whatever you want to call it. It's definitely more of it's like a human body, but not a human body, kind of. I don't know. He kind of looks like he's part human. He wears boots, so he's at least he's been civilized amongst humans. Right, going back in with we're going in now with lead belcher for all of his metallics. There we go. There we go. I'm going to go in with, because on his belt he has like these 3 jewels. For that I'm going to go in with Screaming Bell. Yes. Mr. noticed a very quiet scream in the other room. But Screaming Bell for those. He was screaming because the paint is called Screaming Bell. So he was doing it for dramatic effect. No bell, unfortunately. Even amongst all of our Christmas stuff, we don't have a bell. On his head, he has like a little crown thing. I'm just painting that using Screaming Bell as well. And you get these lovely brassy jewel tones. I'm just going to paint his boots and his antlers, and then everything on him has had a base colour, and then I can add my shading. For his furs, I'm going to use Right Wing Flesh shade. It's like a browny colour, and then I'm going to use oranges to add the highlights. Hello? Every now and then, even when I try to make it focus, every now and then it just decides not to. There we go. I think I'll do his antlers next, because for that I'm going to use Catachin Flesh. And then I'll find the Abaddon Black in amongst my pile of paints, and I'll paint his boots black. There we go. Now Abaddon Black for his boots. These are some very big feet. There we go. So fully base coated. Mr. Krampus. Got some silver on his hide here, so I'm just going over and making sure that is covered. Gonna have a look at his reference photo again and just double check. Okay. I'm gonna get myself some dry brushes ready. I'm gonna dry brush first, and then I'll go in with the shades afterwards. I'm going to focus on his furs mostly, and for his hide, when I was just painting, I'm going to do that last, but I'm going to go in with Blood Reaver Flesh for that as the highlight. And I think I'm going to go in with Kislev Flesh actually as my dry brush for my orange. Bless you. Obviously, when I go over this with the Reichland Flesh shade, which is that tanny neutral brown colour, Gesundheit sign says for you. Just helps us like amplify those lighter areas just a little bit. And I may even dry brush a little bit of this across his chest. Chest and shoulders. Just to bring a tiny semblance of like a fleshy tone back without removing that yellow. But it just dulls it ever so slightly. So, Blood Reaver flesh now. And now I want a lightish brown, which I think will be Steel Legion drab. Just to bring out some of the soft, like obviously softens it up as well a little bit. I think what I'll do now is I will go in and shade, and then we'll call it a night, just because I also want to let that shade paint completely dry before I start adding any highlights. Making sure my dry brush is completely clean first. Grab the right size brush that I'm after. And it's Reichland Flesh shade I'm going in with. I am still going over the areas earlier on where I applied the Cassandora yellow, just to help, well, one, make sure it looks all uniform, but also just to blend the sections together. And now I just need to dry brush his metallics, not dry brush, shade his metallics, which actually have like a green hue to them. So I'm going to go in with Coelia green shade for that. And there we are. That is Krampus, aka Mr. Drasher Vaughan. in his base painted, dry brushed, and shaded stage. So, beginning of tomorrow's stream, we will highlight him. And then, of course, we will paint 1, if not 2, more of the heroes. In total, we have 4 left after this. So we've still got at least another 2 streams just on the good guys, bare minimum. So that should take us obviously to the end of this week, and then after that we will beginning as soon as Mr. Nerd is home, we'll then start the good guy or the bad guys. They are pushed to fit, so it shouldn't be too difficult. I could probably easily assemble a bunch of those myself, but we shall see. But yeah, each of these on average is taking me a stream to a stream and a half to do every 2 to 3 figures. So we shall see. But that is Mr. Drasher. He's looking pretty good so far. So I'm pretty happy with him. And we will continue him, like I said, in the next episode, where we will then be highlighting. So anyway, that'll be it from me for the rest of today. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Hope you've enjoyed this little... He does look very nice, thank you. Hope you guys enjoy this so far. And like I said, as of tomorrow, we'll be jumping straight back in. We'll be finishing off Drasher and starting 1, if not 2 more of the other heroes. But I hope everyone has a lovely evening, and I will hope to see you guys tomorrow. So nighty night, guys. Have a wonderful evening. Bye for now.